It's awful. As you can imagine, everything you think that a mistake could be made, they did that. Three years ago, I was compelled by someone, Ed Bullion, to perhaps purchase the Rocky Yoki limousine Porsche 911 twin Targa internet legend, let's say. And I did a video on that, but just to catch you up real quick, this car has been floating around the internet for years, and I was trying to think of something awesome for me to work on that fits all my little weird quirks, like 959s, 911s, strange cars, and it kind of fit all those things. We ended up buying it and bringing it home. So here's the update on this absolutely crazy car. Now, this is one of those best worst idea cars. Absolutely. And most people should never touch a car like this. You're talking about a gutted limousine that was built very poorly in the 80s and has really needs to be rebuilt 100%. Normally, I am out there restoring or helping along significant and nice cars and a lot of 911s and things like that. And I'm like, I only work one way in my brain. I can't restore something junky. I can't put rusty parts on things. So I'm looking at this going, I got to build it my way. It's going to be my car. This is the car I'm going to take to Luftgekühlt and to Works Reunion, and I'm going to freak out all the Porsche guys, and I'm going to take it to Radwood. This is it. So I'm in on the Rocky Yoki car. So we get it home, and I'm like, so what did I buy? Essentially, I didn't know. We looked at it really quick. When we were down at Baron Margot's house and it was under weird lights. We were there, just in the fog after a cannonball, and it's Halloween and there's just green lights everywhere. And that's how we inspected this car. So I'm like, what did I actually get? Drove down there with the Cannonball ambulance, picked it up, brought it home, put it on the rack, and started looking at it. It's awful. As you can imagine, everything you think that a mistake could be made, they did that. After a ton of research that I've done over the last almost 3 years now, it was built by Ultra Limousine in Los Angeles. And these guys were legends. If you ever look up like world's longest limousine or whatever, they have all of those. They built all the limos for the stars in the late 80s and early 90s. And whatever you wanted, they would stretch. And they had one with a hot tub. They had one with a helicopter landing pad on it. So stretching out 911 was probably a side job, and it looked like it. We got the rest of the interior. Baron had started building he was very much a metal fabricator, so he had built like a little bar in there, and none of it was the original to the Rocky Yoki era, but we took everything out. I just stripped it down to the tub. The whole front pan is rusted out. The front suspension is collapsed inside. This happens a lot with 911s. If you have an early 911, they have a sandwiched front support for the gas tank, and water gets in there, and they rust from the inside out. And so I've changed that pan before, so we had to change that whole new front suspension. So if you look underneath the car now, it looks like a restored show car 911 under the front. A lot more than it ever should have been. The back end still had the transmission kind of hanging out of it. The car, as we found out, is a 1973 911E. That had been cut in the middle and stretched 4 feet. So it's one car. And they had just kind of built the center of it. So the back end had 73 suspension and stuff like that on it. I updated all that to the later stuff, to the aluminum arms. It's really cool. But we pull the transmission out and we flip it over. And it's a 915 transmission, which is correct for 1973. And I'm looking at the numbers, and the numbers are actually 1975. It's a 75 number. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And we're cleaning it off, and we finally see the actual serial number on the transmission, and it's something 2904. And I'm like, Matt, come here. Am I seeing things? Is this real? Is this for real? It says 2904 on the transmission. It's like, that's a sign. That is absolutely a sign. For those who don't know, I did a Cannonball Run event called the 2904 from 2007 to 2017, and we did like 8 of them, and Ed did them, and it was just a blast. There's a ton of videos on those. So to see my Cannonball number on the transmission was like, okay, this is happening. This is absolutely happening. But it was curious that the transmission was from a 75. So we go back to the front end, and I'm looking at the front end, and I'm like, this doesn't look right either, because 73 was before the impact bumpers on the 911, but this had impact bumper mounts on it. I'm like, that's really strange. They had cut the front end off, which again, when the 911 gets damaged, they just slice off the first foot of it and weld on another one. They had welded on a 75 front end. Maybe or maybe not to fit the 959 body they had put on the car. So this was a legit, and I found out, a real 959 body kit that was put on other cars at the time. And you can see there were Volkswagen Bugs with them and 911s with them. And they had just built an extra 4 feet in the middle of that kit. And it was actually pretty good, having seen and been in a lot of real 959s. It's not gonna fool anybody, but it's pretty close. We got the front end and rear ends are in good shape, and now we gotta talk about the middle of the car. Oh, man. So if you've ever been to like a shop class at a high school and they do their first projects of welding and making things, that's what it looked like. I mean, I don't know what these other ultra limousines look like, but I had heard rumor from a very good source that this car was spotted in front of Brock Yates's pub, that it broke in half, that it was just snapped in half. Now, this hasn't been verified. I haven't seen photographs, but Brock's sisters told me this, that she's all, yeah, that car snapped in half. Looking inside, I'm like, quite possible. They had lengthened the sides, so the side sills were lengthened with what was like galvanized steel, which I don't know how they welded that, because when you weld galvanized steel, creates fumes that could kill you. So that's going for that. The center hoop was just pieces put together, bits of steel they had cut to reinforce it, going across, and they had cut it like maybe an inch too short. So they stuck a washer in there just to tack it in so it fit. So not structural at all. So if anything rolled over, the whole thing would just collapse and break in half and snap in half. The floor was, I'm pretty sure, from somebody's garden shed. It was just kind of corrugated, galvanized metal that they had tacked in all the way around and then just put seam sealer around the whole thing. So it's not structural at all either. And a 911 has a tunnel that goes down the center that carries basically everything from the front to the back, the fuel lines, the brake lines, the shifter, everything goes front to back. That tunnel acts like an I-beam going down the center of the car to strengthen it. Well, there was nothing there. It's not there. They just kind of sent everything down the middle and just covered it with a piece of steel, but not bolted to anything. I have no idea how this car was in one piece. We ended up weighing it with the transmission out, and it only weighed like 1,700 pounds, which I was shocked. The amount of Bondo that was on it. Oh, speaking of Bondo, so it's a twin Targa. The front Targa was welded on. The rear Targa fit a regular 911 Targa. The front had been custom made out of 80 pounds of steel, and they had put it on. And eventually, at some point, somebody had welded it on and then bondoed over it. And I'm like, I want it to be a twin Targa again. It really makes no sense for me to own this and not have it look like it did when Rocky Aoki owned it and raced it in 1991 in the One Lap of America. And I'm like, that's the picture I want to recreate. So we start chipping off the Bondo, and it starts coming off in like 1/4-inch chunks. I took a great video of Matt just chiseling through it, and it's just like, it had to have been a bucket of Bondo that they just spread across the top of it. And this was the second body shop. This wasn't Ultra Limousine. This was the body shop that Baron Margot, who I bought it off of, had got it from. That Rocky Aoki apparently dropped it off there for a restoration that never happened. And Baron bought it off of Rocky like 2 months before Rocky passed away. So it was just kind of abandoned at a body shop. The engine Baron had sent away to be worked on, and the mechanic went into the vapor and disappeared with it. So there was no engine for it either. But I had heard that it was the stock motor, probably the 2.4 from 73, and it was ultimately insanely slow. So I wasn't terribly worried about that. But so we get the chip, we take off the Targa, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, I can see this now. This looks really cool. The twin Targa, what engine do we put in it? We don't have an engine. So I'm like, oh man. So I put it out on my channel. I'm like, hey, what do people think for an engine? And I love listening to people's recommendations. I love the interaction of YouTube and Instagram and people talking. And I'm like, hey, I put out a poll. What do you think we should get? Of course, everybody wants to do an LS swap. Yeah, all right, okay. Then there's just putting another 911 motor in. There was a VR6 swap. There was the twin turbo out of a Cayenne. But ultimately, I think you have to come up with a build philosophy when you do a restoration. How am I going to do this? Because I could update the whole thing, but then it wouldn't be the Rocky Aoki car. So I said in my brain, I'm going to only use parts from 1991 when he raced it in the one lap and earlier. So I'm like, what engine? What was the 911 engine from that time? And Obviously, like a 964 turbo would be nice, but that engine is astronomical. So below that, of course, the ultimate engine was the 930 motor. And they're astronomical as well. I'm like, oh, I would love a 930 motor. I just kept trying to convince myself that that's what's got to go in here. Well, there was an auction in LA of this fantastic junkyard, Rudy Klein's junkyard. And there was a bunch of crazy stuff there. There was like a alloy-bodied gull wing. There was like a bunch of Muras. There were engines for Muras. This guy had collected stuff for years. And he had racks of 911 engines and 356 stuff and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, oh, they've got 3 930 engines. I'm like, okay. 2 earlier ones. The early engines were not intercooled. The 1978, 79, they went to a 3.3 intercooler. And they had one of those. And I'm like, oh, that's the engine. And they sell as just chunks of used motor. They sell for over $20,000, like just, on a pallet. And the first 2 non-intercooler engines start going, and they're rolling along, and they're like 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. I'm like, am I really going to invest this kind of money into a car that probably is never going to be worth what I'm putting into it? This has got to be a car I want to keep for the rest of my life. Honestly, that's kind of where my brain was going. This will be my car. This will be when John Ficar shows up. Oh, look, there's the crazy twin Targa. So, okay, I'm in. So 9,000, 10,000, 11,000, the first one sells. And I'm like, all right, well, that's the market. And then the second one comes up. It sells for about the same, obviously. I'm like, all right, now the intercooler engine comes up. I'm like, oh, it's worth more. It's definitely worth more. It's worth more. So I bid it up to 11, and then it goes to 12. I'm like, oh, no, 12. And I went to 12.5, and then it was like, I think I got it for 12,750 or something like that. And I'm like, that, honestly, even with the buyer's premium and everything, I was like, that was totally worth it. Obviously, it had been moved around by a forklift for most of its life, but it looked like it was taken out of a crashed car because there was one broken bracket on the back. So probably it came out of a low mileage car. This is the story I'm building in my brain. That was where I was going with it. I'm like, it must be a low mileage engine they just took out and it's been on a shelf for decades. It's going to need a complete rebuild, which I would do anyway. So we ship it up and get it into my garage, and I unwrapped it on my channel, and I'm like, here's what I've got. Everything I do on my channel, I do for real. Like, we unwrapped it. That was not staged. I'm like going, what did I buy? And we start discovering, I'm like, it's in pretty good shape. It's filthy. And we wash it off, and as all the grime and everything comes off, yeah, it's a little beat up on the outside. And we start looking at like the different pieces. I'm like, that's broken, and that's broken, and that's broken. I'm like, all right, still good. It was still a good buy. It's still a good buy. I got it. It's a 930 motor. Okay. And then I've got a really good friend, Tom Amon, who raced 935s. He's rebuilt probably 2 or 3 911 motors a month for the past 45 years. And he's just retired, but he builds my engines and transmissions for me, and he's taking it apart with me. And as we take it apart, he's like, no, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. And we take up more pieces. He's like, no, this is actually really nice. He looks at the cams and at the crank, and we start pulling the pistons out. And he goes, yeah, this engine was thrown around as, on a shelf, obviously. He goes, but this engine can't have more than maybe 40,000 miles on it. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, I have been validated. So he's like, yeah, we need this, and this. And I said, I don't want to build 800 horsepower 935 engine. It's going in a car that would probably just twist in a knot. But we finally got it out. We took everything apart. It took months to get everything kind of prepped and rebuilt and resurfaced. And it's ready to go together now. We've got all the parts for it. And we're building it into a 3.4 liter with special cams and a bigger turbo and simply things like that. And the engine back in the day probably made just about 300 horsepower. We're hoping maybe 350. 360 would be nice, and that'd be plenty to drive this car along. But we also have the 915 transmission, which is, 930s had 930 transmissions, 4 speeds in them. But you can tie them into the earlier 915 5 speeds, which makes them really drivable. Takes a lot of the turbo lag out of it. And we reinforced it with some modern parts, and we put some 930 bits on it. So I think the drivetrain is sorted. That's all going together actually next week, which will be, yes, I'm so excited. Because I get to sit there, aside from all of this, I get to sit there and watch Tom Amon build an engine with me. I keep coming back to this, is we have to find these old masters and learn from them so we can pass it on to somebody else. Like if Tom passed away today, all that knowledge would be gone, right? So if I can learn some of it, Matt can learn some of it, we can teach it to somebody else. It has to be passed on. It's the only way for our hobby to continue. So I'm going to absorb as all I can from Tom, and we're going to build that 930 motor for it. And it's on its wheels. It has the engine and transmission going together. So next step for the Aoki car is to send it to Paint and Body Work, which the fine folks at Sway, if you remember those guys, they were like, we'll do it. We've got a paint shop and all kinds of 3D printing stuff. And I'm like, it is all yours, my friend. And I'm stoked about that. They've got some great ideas on how to paint it. That's kind of where we're at now, is like, what are we gonna make it look like? It was not the most attractive car, I have to say, to begin with. It was a very 80s color, and I couldn't get through to Benihana or Kieran, who had sponsored it originally, because my idea was I'll paint it the same color if I can put their stickers back on it. But I'm not thinking, like, it's a little weird. So I like the Rothmans livery, which the 959 only raced in the Paris Dakar, which I did a video on. And it also raced at Le Mans, but it was white at Le Mans. But it raced as a street car also in the Rothmans livery once. So I'm like, that would be kind of cool. Is it do it in the Rothmans livery without, obviously, the Rothmans logos on it, but just the blue with the stripes and everything might look really good. But of course, I'm going to put that out to my fans and see if they can help me decide where to go with that. So that's where this really bad idea is right now. And now it's an unfunctional hulk in my driveway. So technically, it is still a bad idea. I have a huge chunk taken out of my bank account, and I've got nothing to show for it. So that's the definition of a bad idea. Only when all that comes together will this become a good idea. So hopefully the next video I can introduce you to a really good idea.
If you get a ticket, the first thing you should do is text a picture of it to 305-305. That will get the ticket clinic on your case immediately. You'll be facing costly fines, risks of suspension, possible jail time, points on your license, higher insurance premiums, and a lot of bad things that they can help you to avoid. You can also find them at the link in the description below, but the Ticket Clinic is a nationwide law firm with brick and mortar offices in Georgia, Florida, and California, but they've got attorneys everywhere, and that's what's most important, because a local attorney will know exactly how the local laws work, know the people who are in charge, and get you the best outcome possible. So text a picture of your ticket to 305-305 or click the link in the description below to fight your ticket with the Ticket Clinic.